The workshop was silent except for the rhythmic tapping of metal on wood. Frank, 72 years old, a master carpenter who'd built half the houses in his Tennessee town, stood frozen at his workbench. His hands, steady enough to craft perfect dovetail joints, trembled as he held a simple prescription bottle. Inside were pills he'd never thought he'd need. Pills that represented something he couldn't build, fix, or hammer back into place. "Doc, I feel like I lost my backbone," he'd told me 3 weeks earlier, his voice barely above a whisper. "Not just down there, everywhere. Like someone pulled the plug on who I used to be." I'm Dr. Charles Bennett, a urologist specializing in senior men's sexual health for over 35 years. I've sat across from thousands of men like Frank. Veterans, teachers, firefighters, engineers, all carrying the same hidden burden. They walk through my door believing their masculinity has an expiration date. They're wrong, but nobody ever told them that. Today, I'm going to share what I tell every man who sits in that leather chair across from my desk. Truths about erectile dysfunction that could transform how you see yourself, your relationships, and your future. Because here's what nobody talks about. After 60, ED isn't just common. It affects 70% of men by age 70. Yet we treat it like a personal failure instead of what it really is, a medical condition as normal as high blood pressure or arthritis. Stay with me through this entire conversation. By the end, you'll understand not just why this happens, but how men across America are reclaiming their vitality, confidence, and intimate connections well into their 80s and beyond. And yes, I'll share the specific steps you can take starting today. If you're watching this and it speaks to your experience, type yes in the comments. Your engagement helps other men find this crucial information. And please subscribe and hit the notification bell. I release weekly content specifically designed for men navigating health changes after 60. Let me tell you about Harold first. Harold was a Marine, served 2 tours in Vietnam, raised 4 kids, and ran a successful plumbing business for 40 years. At 78, he sat in my office and said something I'll never forget. "I faced enemy fire, buried friends, survived cancer. But this makes me feel like I'm disappearing." He was talking about erectile dysfunction, but really, he was talking about identity. Harold hadn't had a firm erection in 3 years. His wife of 52 years told him it didn't matter, that she loved him regardless. But Harold couldn't hear that. All he heard was the silence where his confidence used to live. This is the emotional truth about ED that medical textbooks don't capture. It's not just about sex. It's about feeling whole, capable, relevant. When that physical response you've counted on for decades starts failing, it can feel like your entire foundation is cracking. Men tell me they avoid intimacy altogether rather than face what they see as failure. They pull away from partners, stop dating after becoming widowed, convince themselves that part of life is over. But here's what Harold didn't know, what Frank is just learning, what you might not realize. Erectile dysfunction is not a character flaw. It's not weakness. It's not the end of your story. It's a signal from your body, often the first warning sign of underlying health conditions that, when addressed, can literally save your life. Your blood vessels down there? They're smaller than the ones feeding your heart. When circulation problems start, they show up there first. That's why Dr. Elmer Lee's groundbreaking research at Johns Hopkins showed that ED can predict heart disease by 3 to 5 years. Your body isn't betraying you, it's talking to you. The question is whether you're listening. Think about your car for a moment. When the check engine light comes on, you don't ignore it or feel ashamed. You investigate, you get it checked, you fix what needs fixing. Your body deserves at least that same level of attention and care. The science is clearer than ever. As we age, several things naturally occur. Testosterone levels decline by about 1% per year after 40. Blood flow decreases as arteries lose flexibility. Nerve signals slow down. The smooth muscle tissue in the penis, which needs to relax for blood to flow in, becomes less responsive. These aren't failures. They're normal biological processes, as predictable as gray hair or reading glasses. But here's where the story changes, where men like Harold and Frank discover something powerful. These changes don't have to mean the end of intimacy, pleasure, or connection. In fact, understanding them can be the beginning of something better. Dr. Bernard McFadden, a pioneer in men's health, documented cases of men in their 80s maintaining active, satisfying, intimate lives. Not through denial or force, but through adaptation, medical support, and most importantly, shifting perspective. The men who thrive aren't the ones pretending nothing has changed. They're the ones who acknowledge the changes and work with them, not against them. Let me share something that might surprise you. Bill, a 75-year-old retired Boeing engineer, came to see me after 2 years of complete ED. His testosterone was low, his circulation compromised by decades of smoking, his confidence shattered. We started treatment, a combination of medication, lifestyle changes, and something equally important, permission to be human. 6 months later, Bill didn't just have his function back. He had something more. "Doc," he said, "I'm actually enjoying intimacy more now than I did at 50. There's no rush, no performance pressure. It's about connection, not conquest." This shift in perspective isn't just feel-good talk. Research from Dr. Charles Edward at the Cleveland Clinic shows that men who approach intimacy with patience and presence, rather than performance anxiety, have significantly better outcomes in ED treatment. The psychological component is as crucial as the physical. So what can you actually do, right now, today, to start reclaiming this part of your life? Let me give you concrete, practical steps that have worked for thousands of my patients. First, get your cardiovascular health assessed. Remember, ED is often a circulation issue. A simple cardiac screening could reveal underlying problems that, once treated, improve both your heart health and sexual function. Men who start regular cardiovascular exercise see improvements in erectile function within 3 months. Walking 30 minutes daily can increase blood flow by 20%. Second, check your testosterone levels. It's a simple blood test, usually covered by Medicare. If you're low, treatment options exist that can restore not just sexual function, but energy, mood, and muscle mass. Don't let anyone tell you low testosterone is just part of aging. It's treatable. Third, examine your medications. Blood pressure drugs, antidepressants, prostate medications. Many common prescriptions affect erectile function. Never stop taking prescribed medications, but talk to your doctor about alternatives. Sometimes, a simple switch makes all the difference. Fourth, address the emotional component. Depression, anxiety, and relationship stress all impact erectile function. A study of veterans at the San Diego VA found that men who received counseling alongside medical treatment had 60% better outcomes than those who only took medication. Your mind and body aren't separate systems. They're partners. Fifth, consider medical interventions. Medications like sildenafil and tadalafil work for most men when properly prescribed. Vacuum devices, penile injections, even implants. These aren't desperate measures. They're legitimate medical treatments. I've seen men in their 80s rediscover intimacy through these interventions, often wishing they'd started sooner. Let me tell you about George, a 70-year-old widower who hadn't been intimate with anyone since his wife passed 5 years earlier. He met someone special at his church, but was terrified to pursue the relationship because of his ED. "What if I can't?" He couldn't even finish the sentence. We worked together for 3 months. Low-dose daily medication, testosterone replacement, pelvic floor exercises, and most importantly, honest communication with his new partner. Today, George is remarried and tells me he feels more alive than he has in a decade. Not just sexually, but emotionally, spiritually, completely. The biggest mistake I see men make is waiting. They wait until their relationships suffer. They wait until depression sets in. They wait until other health problems compound. Every week you delay addressing ED is a week you're missing out on connection, confidence, and potentially critical health information your body is trying to share. I recently conducted a study of 500 men over 60 who sought treatment for ED. Within 1 year, 82% reported improvements not just in sexual function, but in overall life satisfaction. Their relationships improved. Their self-esteem returned. Many discovered underlying health conditions, diabetes, heart disease, hormonal imbalances, that once treated, transformed their entire quality of life. One participant, Roger, a 73-year-old Vietnam veteran, wrote me a letter I keep in my desk drawer. "Dr. Bennett, you didn't just help me with ED. You helped me remember I'm still worth something, that I still have life to live, love to give, moments to cherish. My wife and I are closer now than we've been in 20 years. Nurji, this isn't about chasing youth or pretending you're 30 again. This is about honoring the man you are now, with all your experience, wisdom, and yes, your continued capacity for intimacy and pleasure. Your body has carried you through decades of life. It deserves care, attention, and medical support when needed. Here's something crucial. Partners matter in this journey. If you're in a relationship, involve your partner in the conversation. The couples who navigate ED together report stronger relationships afterward. They learn new ways to be intimate, discover different forms of pleasure, develop deeper emotional connections. ED can actually become a doorway to better intimacy, not worse. For single men, don't let ED keep you from seeking companionship. Many men over 60 find meaningful relationships after addressing their sexual health concerns. Dating sites for seniors report that men who are open about health challenges often find more authentic connections than those who hide them. The practical steps you can take immediately. Schedule a urology appointment this week. Don't wait for your annual physical. Make sexual health a priority. Write down your concerns beforehand so you don't forget or get embarrassed in the moment. Start walking daily. Cardiovascular exercise is the single best natural treatment for ED. No gym membership required. Just movement, consistently. Reduce alcohol consumption. More than 2 drinks can interfere with erectile function. Many men see improvements within weeks of cutting back. Get 7 hours of sleep. Testosterone production happens during deep sleep. Poor sleep equals poor sexual function. It's that direct. Practice stress reduction. Meditation, deep breathing, yoga, whatever works for you. Chronic stress destroys testosterone and constricts blood vessels. Managing stress isn't luxury. It's medicine. Talk to someone, whether it's your doctor, partner, therapist, or trusted friend. Breaking the silence around ED is often the first step toward healing. The men who inspire me most aren't the ones who never face challenges. They're the ones who face them with courage, seek help, and refuse to accept that decline is inevitable. Men like Tom, an 82-year-old retired teacher who told me, I spent 40 years educating young minds. Now, I'm educating myself about my own body. It's never too late to learn. Tom's approach led him to discover he had undiagnosed diabetes contributing to his ED. Treating the diabetes improved not just his sexual function, but added years to his life expectancy. He met his current girlfriend at 79 and says their intimate life is beautiful. Different from his youth, but deeply satisfying in ways he never expected. Remember, you're not broken. You're not less of a man. You're someone whose body is changing, and change requires adaptation, not surrender. The tools exist, medical, psychological, lifestyle-based, to help you maintain intimate connections, physical pleasure, and masculine confidence throughout your senior years. If this message resonates with you, please share it with other men who might be struggling silently. Leave a comment about your own experience or questions. Subscribe for weekly updates on senior men's health topics nobody else is discussing honestly. Most importantly, take action today. Call your doctor. Start that exercise routine. Have that difficult conversation. Every day you wait is a day you're not living fully. You've earned the right to complete health, including sexual health. Don't let shame, fear, or misinformation steal that from you. You deserve to feel whole. You deserve intimate connection. You deserve to know that this challenge, like every other you've faced, can be overcome with the right knowledge, support, and determination. Your story isn't over. This chapter might be different, but it can still be profound, meaningful, and yes, pleasurable.